really interesting study a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2015 that was published that looked at the effect of obesity. And obesity was actually looked at not in the mothers, but the fathers. And so sperm DNA was collected from males that were obese and males that were lean. And there's a variety of different genes, like hundreds of different genes that were looked at. And about 300 different genes were different in how they were activated or not activated in the sperm DNA of the obese men. And a lot of those genes had to do with cognition, learning, memory, and metabolism. So that's very interesting. But what was super interesting was that these men, they were morbidly obese. They were very obese. They underwent bariatric surgery, and their sperm DNA was then collected, a couple of months after, and then like close to a year after. And as time went on, their sperm DNA looked like the lean people. So wow. Basically losing the weight, just losing the weight, had an effect on these genes that are involved in cognition and metabolism. And like I said, lots of animal studies have shown obesity has a negative effect on causing type 1 diabetes later in life and different, cognitive disabilities and things like that. So, it is something like people that are wanting to conceive might consider, their health before trying to procreate. I'm not saying that, you shouldn't procreate if you're not, healthy, but it's just something, another thing to think about. And also I think it's a motivating factor for people because sometimes you don't care as much about yourself. I mean, some people don't. They're just kind of like, but their child or their unborn child, that's probably, a driver for people to make a change like that.
Well, I would certainly hope it would be. I mean, you have this opportunity to really literally change the way your child develops. And it's just by your discipline.
Right.
Just by whether or not you're taking care of your own body. You can literally change the future of your child. So because you're saying that these genes that are in this obese man's sperm, the way they're represented, that's going to be passed on to the kid.
Yeah.
Versus the lean version of him. Those genes will be passed on to the kid. The kid literally will have a different starting point in life.
A different starting point. It's totally crazy. Yeah. And I mean, of course, the child itself can change things through epigenetics, through their diet and lifestyle, but you're giving them a baseline here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's definitely it's a growing field. A lot of the research is done in animals because it's really difficult to do these sorts of experiments in humans. But I think that this is sort of a proof of principle at the very least, looking at the sperm DNA. So it's something to consider. And I've had like friends of friends that have, that are overweight or obese and wanting to have children. And so it's like, I try to talk to them about that in a way that's not condescending.
Yeah.
Some people do have a hard time. They try to lose weight and, they have to find the right combination of things that works for them. But I do think that people would get more motivated if they're like, wow, I can, affect my future child's risk for type 1 diabetes or for, what their IQ is, how well they're performing on learning and memory tests. So,
and also avoid the horrific guilt that you would feel if you didn't do that and you started to see these things manifesting in your child. And you realize, oh my God, I set this kid up in a shitty way because I'm lazy. Which is essentially what a lot of the problem is with people. It's just they don't have whatever the mental, and people get angry if you say that they're lazy because they don't diet. Forget that word. Take away the word lazy. You're unmotivated. Let's say that. But for whatever reason, if you choose not to take care of your health and you see that transfer into your child and you know that you're unhappy with your existence, you're unhappy with your physical body, and you refuse to do or for whatever reason don't do enough, and then you see these same problems manifesting in your own baby and you realize oh my God, I started this kid off in a shitty way. You're going to be riddled with guilt.
Totally. I mean, the thing is most people don't know about epigenetics and they don't know that they're able to do that. So the more the people are educated, I think the better the outcome will be. But like you said, the people that do know and then still do it, it's the guilt. I mean, that's unbelievable.